We're a fueling company. We provide alternative fuels for diesel, especially for diesel vehicles. We fuel all kinds of equipment, businesses from agriculture to marine to personal usage. Just trying to get the awareness out. That's our main goal of our business here.
There isn't a lot of education when it comes to biodiesel, particularly. It's lump summed in with the rest of the biofuels, and it's actually its own entity. It's better for your engine, it adds more lubricity, it cleans out your engine, there's less emission.
All diesel fuel carries a high sulfur content. Luckily, it's going to ultra low sulfur, but we're having problems with the lubrication on it. Biodiesel takes care of that. Not only that, so it doesn't have any sulfur in the fuel. If you have a diesel engine, we could run it on it.
The good thing is that the state, as well as our new president, is coming out with a lot of initiatives for biodiesel. They are providing a lot of tax incentives for the end user. President Obama is very big into biofuels right now, so we're hoping that with all of the education, flooding the market with education, teaching people what it is, the benefits of it, that possibly we can then get completely away from having to rely on fossil fuels. So it's a great benefit for the environment. We're both parents. We hope that we can make a difference and an impact on our children's lives, and that's the only way we can do it.
Billy, you told me earlier that you haven't been a biodiesel guy forever. You actually were in a completely different line of work. How did you transition? What were you doing? How did you transition to this?
I'm a reprocessor by trade. I do reprocessions, and when the price of fuel started increasing, I educated myself and went ahead and we opened up BioDiesel in Motion. Efficiency is basically the same. The price is cheaper. It's cheaper per gallon. I mean, it makes 100%. The only downfall I see to it is there's not enough places serving it.
You're doing a lot of education about biofuel. For anyone at home who doesn't know, what kind of modifications, if any at all, do you have to do to an engine or actually a vehicle to let it handle biodiesel?
Biodiesel is a direct replacement for diesel. There's nothing that you have to do to the engine. It works as a detergent, so it cleans out your engine. As long as you've maintained the maintenance on your vehicle, you've changed your fuel filters, there's no issue. It is a direct replacement.
There's a lot of people have a misconception with biodiesel. They think it's just, we go to the restaurant and we pick up the cooking oil and we pump into the car. It's not that. It is processed, it is filtered down, it meets all ASTM requirements. I mean, it's not an issue. It's not restaurant oil just pouring into the car.
So you have a facility that's off of the Florida Turnpike, and basically any diesel vehicle can come up and get service there and start using biodiesel.
Correct. What we ask is that people call just to make sure that the truck is there. We're in the process of, like we said, there isn't a lot of education, so we're in the process of educating the county to be able to get permits. But we do fuel it from the station. They just got to call. We ask for like an appointment on us. But if not, we meet them on the street. If a consumer was interested in putting in a personal tank, we can also provide that, which makes it easier. They have the fuel at home for the same reasons. We all live in Florida. We know where hurricanes happen. We know that everyone runs out of fuel. So a lot of people have wanted to take that route because then they have their own reserves. They get to run their generators on it. They get to, drive their cars. They're not affected as much by the storm.
That's a great point, especially with the hurricanes here. Absolutely.
And not only that, without the fear of having fuel in your house, you got to keep in mind it's 100% biodegradable. It's as toxic as table salt or even your sugar in your house, and it's non-flammable. It's combustible naturally, but it's non-flammable. You literally got to get a flame torch in order to get it on fire, so it's not something hazardous to have in your house.
You don't have to add like a vent or anything. You're not going to get stuck. Like I said, there's no longer an exhaust or that smell, so you don't have that issue either.
That's what a lot of people have come to associate with like big commercial diesel vehicles, is that smoke and that smell, and that's just gone. Now we're talking about like fleet vehicles, like municipalities, like fire trucks, or even like power companies who have these huge fleets of diesel vehicles. Is there any kind of laws that you guys are aware of, or you guys have been active with as far as regulating that biodiesel be used?
They're starting to pass laws where they're going to require at least a 20% blend, which would mean that they would be using 20% bio, and most of these are diesel engines, so they would be using 20% biodiesel, and then the other portion would be diesel.
You got to keep in mind with the temperature. So in winter, you got to keep it. You got to bring up the blend of petroleum. You can, I don't recommend to run a B99, even though in South Florida we have 2-3 days that the fuel might gel, but it's a possibility. So it's the biofuels. It's mainly education and a direct consumer relationship and knowing their needs and uses.
B99, what exactly does that mean?
B99 that's basically what we pump. In order to get the plants to get their federal excise blending tax, they got to blend it with 1% petroleum. So it's called the B99.9.
They can get their tax on it and what have you.
It's for taxing issues.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't need it. You don't need to run it. You could run a B100 with no problem, but it's a taxing issue. That's what the B99 is there for. You're ruining you're putting that 1% of regular petroleum into a perfectly fine fuel for just a taxing issue.
With more education, maybe your daughters won't even remember a time when there was black smokestacks coming out of diesel trucks and things like that.
We're all hoping for that.
That would be
Thank you for taking the time to talk to us. It's really been a pleasure meeting you, and we'll definitely keep in touch with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.